Guys, this is a video basically around the walk cycle, and it's probably showing a bit more advanced techniques that you can use, but nothing that you guys would be unfamiliar with. So you guys probably know the stuff that I'm doing, but maybe haven't thought to add them to your movie. Now this is just a quick thing that I created just then, and it just shows a duck walking across the screen. Now obviously everything I just created then, drawing the figure, drawing the background, very simple. It's just a green and a blue line, a green fill and a blue fill. And then the tree is again just something I drew. Now, if you think that you can't draw anything like this, all you need to do is search what you're looking for in Google. So say tree cartoon and copy that. Okay, you can even bring it in there and trace around it. Now, I do prefer you create all your own things because, I mean, you look at what I've created, it is quite simple. Now, to do this movie basically consists of two things: the background, all of that, and my symbol. And on the symbol is a motion tween going across the page. Extremely simple. Now you're probably looking, okay, well every little bit is drawn inside a symbol. So we're going to have a look at that inside my duck walking symbol. And so you'll see that it's actually made up of 4 layers, okay, and each layer is made up of a keyframe. So this little animation is made up of 4 layers, and each with its own keyframe over 8 frames. It's actually not as complicated and as hard as you can see there, but let me run through a bit of it. The first thing I'll show you, the first thing I drew is the body. Okay, so I just drew that very quickly. That kind of thing is something that you guys will get used to drawing using the trackpad, using your finger, and the adding of colour makes something very, very good. Also, little techniques like in the eyes, you'll see how there's a white dot there. Okay, it does make it look like it's just something you'll see in a lot of cartoons, just so it looks like it's a light. Now, so each body has been inserted. After I've finished, I have moved them up and down to create that wavy motion. The next thing I did was to do the right leg. Now you'll notice that the body is above the right leg layer. So, but what I've done is, where the right leg is, I've put it below there because I want it to look like it's underneath where the body is. Okay, so just the basic layer principle. And then I've just drawn, okay, and I can hide the body layer, and I've drawn just through everything that we've talked about the walk cycle. Okay, so the leg going through, okay, that one leg scooter motion coming through. Okay, but I have put the left leg on a different layer. The reason why I've done that is because all I have done on the left leg, okay, it's below the right leg, obviously because of the layers, but all I've done is selected, maybe say, because I know they work in opposite cycles, if I select this one, if I select this layer, what I usually did was just copy it, Command C, and then when I found it on layer 1, you'll notice, okay, that on layer 1, and then layer 1 of the left leg is actually the same as layer 5 of the right leg. Okay, so all I did was copy and paste them there, and having them on different layers makes that easier to do. Alright, so you'll notice how I come through, and it's basically the same picture, just cycled over each other. Alright, so that's basically how I've done the walk cycle. So if I hit enter, walk cycle, and then with the body, I've put that over the top. Okay, so it's pretty simple when you think about it that way. Right, dividing them all up into one. The last thing I did was I actually created one arm. So if you have a look at the arm here, it actually moves back and forth. Now that's actually very easy to do because all I did, because it's just like a wing, like a duck wing, okay, what I did was drag this in, press this tool, and a lot of people don't really know what this little circle inside is. That's actually a pivot point. So if I was to rotate this, it would rotate around that pivot area. But if I was to put this up here, let's just say, imagine that's where the shoulder joint was. Now when I rotate, it's actually going to rotate around that area. So all I did was on frame for the arm on frame number 1, I had it there. Then on frame number 2, I rotated it a bit that way, all the way through. So I didn't actually have to, I only had to draw it once and then just rotated it. Okay, so it is a little more complex in a way, but it does make things easier to do. Now I'm just going to delete that because I don't want that to be on there. So now you'll see the arm actually just goes back and forth and rotates through on each little bit. And you'll notice here when I click on it, you'll see that I have that little circle there, and I've just rotated it. So when I go to the next frame, I copy it to a keyframe so it stays there, and then I just rotate it again. The last thing I did is to give it that up and down motion. I made sure that the feet all line up together in that they are on an imaginary line there, like it's a ground, just like so. And so it does give it that bouncing up and down motion, and that comes with just being used to it. So if I go back to my scene and we see the finished product, it comes up and down. One thing I could add if I wanted to was, if I go back into duck walking, one thing I could do is add a shadow. Now I could maybe do another layer, drag that to the bottom, and on this frame here I could maybe draw some sort of picture using the brush tool where I would have what is supposed to be a shadow. Maybe that should be black. That's a better idea. Okay, so now see there is a shadow. So now and that's going to stay there, and that's actually going to stay there the whole time. So it's just going to move wherever the duck moves. So now we look like there's some sort of shadow. Now to make that more realistic, I would think, well, if there's a shadow on the duck, there's obviously going to be a shadow on the tree. So I'd go back to my background, and then again, in the same way, just draw some sort of shadow. Fill that in black. That didn't work. Now when I have a look, there's a shadow. To make that even more realistic, I could then maybe go to my oval tool, have no stroke, maybe draw the sun. So the sun obviously is shining, and we have a look like that. Now it probably would move along as we go actually because of the sun, but it's not really important. But they're the kind of little things that you can add to make your animation more professional looking and a lot better. There you go.